has saved, He has spoken to us through the Son. Aleluya, aleluya, ha nacido el Rey de Reyes. Aleluya, aleluya, en un humilde portal.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. The shepherds went in haste to Bethlehem and found Mary and Joseph and the infant lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known the message that had been told them about this child. All who heard it were amazed by what had been told them by the shepherds. And Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. Then the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, just as it had been told to them. When 8 days were completed for his circumcision, he was named Jesus, the name given by him by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
As proof that you are sons, God sent the Spirit of His Son into our hearts, crying out, Abba, Father. The words of St. Paul to the Galatians in the second reading for the Solemnity of Mary, the Mother of God, point to us the dignity that each one of us has held from the moment of our baptism. In reference to being human, God changed the destiny of each one of us. Celebrating two different events today, the Solemnity of Mary, the Mother of God, and the New Year, the calendar year. Sometimes they seem to be conflicting, and I think it's because time as we know it, the chronos, the succession of time from one day, 1 minute to the other, joins in the Mother of God, in the Virgin Mary, with eternity, the fullness of time that is described by Paul in the letter to the Galatians. When the fullness of time had come, God sent His Son. He's not referring to a particular instance in time only, the concreteness of the incarnation of Jesus and the birth of Jesus in Bethlehem, but it enters into the divine hour, the reality that God exists beyond time. So the fullness of time does not refer to the right moment, as it were, in our culture, in our life, but actually the right moment for God to enter into history, when He decided that it was the precise moment for Him to pierce the temporal order, the limits of our situation. God enters, and with Him He brings eternity to us, so that we may become, like Ireneo says, the Word became man, and the Son of God became the Son of man, so that man, by entering into communion with the Word, and thus receiving divine sonship, have become a son of God. Our destiny is to become children of God, to live in all eternity. Where does our cultural shock or our cultural conflict lie? Is precisely in how we spend time or how we see time passing. A sense of nostalgia usually surrounds the New Year's Eve as we say goodbye to an old year and then welcome a new one. It's like the old is gone and now something new is about to happen. new resolutions come to mind and a better way in which we can spend our time. So it is about time. And in all these things, there is a logical reality that is basically cultural in nature. The definition of time is subjective, but in regards to eternity, it's temporal, but in regards to the eternal, how we move up ourselves to live eternally, as if we will never die, as if time will never stop passing. We look at the succession of times that we get so used to, and I think what happens in our culture lately is that we give a lot of emphasis to living in the moment. See? Living in the moment, as opposed to living for eternity. In the culture of living for the moment, we tend to see the succession of time and try to put emphasis to certain moments only, to see the slices of time and take them apart from one from the other. So I spend a moment here, a moment there, a moment everywhere. And sometimes when we look at time in that way, it becomes redundant. From one moment to another, it seems that life is repetitious. Another year goes by, another New Year's comes in, and we see the old going and the new one come in. But is that really reflecting our nature as children of God? That is a lineal reality, that we're moving ourselves towards the Lord more and more. So it is not about repeating time itself, but it's about entering into the eternal realm, into where God resides. How does our perspective change? It can affect our spiritual life. If we just try to live in the moment, we're going to see the opportunity, to try to seize the opportunity to make the best of our time, because the time will go by. But if we put an eternal context to how we see our time, then there is the moral repercussion. How good am I in the time that I have? So it brings to us, it challenges us to do a good examination of conscience. To see when in my life are my priorities in regards to the eternity and to what God has planned for me. And in this is where the Virgin, the Mother of God, comes. When the fullness of time had come, says St. Paul, God sent His Son, born of a woman, born under the law. Significant, the St. Paul does not say born through a woman, but born of a woman. That is, Jesus came in the human form, in our human nature. In all things except sin, He received flesh from the flesh of the Virgin Mary. So He enters into our time fully. He does not remain in the abstract, but actually concretizes in the reality, in the womb of the Virgin Mary. That's why this festivity is so important, Mary, the Mother of God, because Jesus took His humanity from the humanity of Mary. So He's Son of God and Son of Mary as well. In Him and in Mary, we see the effects of the Word made flesh and how she lived her life. The Gospel of St. Luke gives us clues as to how Mary spent her time with the Lord. It uses a common phrase that is used at least a couple times. Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. It shows us the contemplative side of the Virgin Mary. And the word that he uses says reflecting on them. It's actually more closely to say that she's piecing together. Not exactly reflecting on them as we psychologically reflect. That happens to us, especially when we think of prayer. You know, you got to spend some time in prayer and meditation. So how do I do that? You know, we think we need to reflect. And by that we mean a psychological action. You know, just let's think about those things through. What is God trying to tell me? That's a very void meditation. If we reduce meditation and prayer to a psychological praxis or action, basically we're saying that reflection is to say, that is meditation. That's why it feels empty sometimes for us. If we try to make a better prayer life, let's say, for the next coming year, we cannot just make a prayer life and say, I'm going to do more in my prayer life. We have to turn it into a more concrete reality. An encounter with Jesus Christ in our own personal life and in the life of the context in which we live. That is, our family. Most precisely, those who are closest to us. That the challenge comes from prayer. Because it's no longer psychological. In reality, what the Virgin Mary does, reflecting on these things, she's actually piecing them together. Sewing them, as it were. For us, reflection and a time of concrete prayer needs to include, and I'm hinting for your consideration for this coming year, into piecing together what God is doing in our life with the concrete reality that we find ourselves with the concrete reality of our situations. Your marriage, your children, your church, your family, immediate and not so immediate, the ones you like and the ones you do not like. That's funny, isn't it? Because we try to turn prayer into just a psychological reflection. It's not going to get us anywhere. But we need to ask ourselves the questions. How is this things, how can I piece them together to know what is the will of God in my life? Family, St. John Paul II used to say, is the school of love and charity. Family. Why? Because it's not easy. It's a school. You got to be tested. That's where you learn how to forgive. In family. Somebody posted on my wall something called the I forgot if it's 7 or 8 weird practices of happy families, of happy marriages. And they're kind of weird. But and I get those things a lot. Lately, they do a lot of blogs, they give a lot of bullet points in how to make your marriage better or how to make your family better. 12 things to do, 10 things to do, 25, 52, and so on. The problem I have sometimes with all that simplification is that it tries to create an automatic succession of actions that will make your marriage happy or your family happy. If you only do these 10 things, you'll be happy. And guess what? They don't work. Because in the concrete reality of a family life, of motherhood, of fatherhood, in the concrete reality, God challenges us in the concrete ways that do not fit the spectrum or the paradigm that sometimes is given to us. He challenges us day by day to look into how these things are affecting my heart. And that is where a spiritual life needs to grow. Not just do bullet points. Otherwise, those bullet points, and I've seen it, become bullets in the family to use against the other. You are not keeping as a good husband. You are not the perfect wife. You are not according to this list that you ought to be. And forgiveness becomes more difficult. Becomes more difficult because we put standards in which our spouses, your spouses, I don't have one, by the way. My spouse is the church, and I thank God. She's got her bullet points. But the standards that are set for us, we cannot meet them. And then those bullet points become bullets, especially in an argument. You are not being as good a husband as so-and-so, as good a wife as so-and-so, or as good as the Facebook tells us that we should be. Unfortunately, my brothers and sisters, that's not piecing together the will of God in our life. What we're basically doing is trying to surrogate our responsibility of engaging ourselves into a deep spiritual life to grow stronger in the sight of God. Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. And this reflection is, as I said, piecing them together. As we enter a new year, do not see it as nostalgically and thinking, well, the old year is gone. Thank God, and welcome the new one. But to see it as a linear. How am I getting closer to the Lord? How am I being challenged to be closer and closer to Him? How is my heart moving closer and closer so that I have a deep spiritual life that is fulfilling for us, fulfilling in our calling and the callings that God has given us. Put ourselves in the patroness of the Blessed Virgin Mary. She pondered these things in her heart. We ask for her intercession so that we do the same. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.